Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, the place where we talk all things records. Today I'm going to be doing part 1 of my Beatles record vinyl collection, and I'll be doing this in 2 parts, so like 62 to 66 and then 67 to 1970. So first off we've got, well, I will be doing the singles and EPs in a separate video, so we'll start off with Please Please Me. This was the first copy of the album I bought. It's the 2012 stereo reissue, which they've replicated the black and gold label, as you can see there. Now I will be putting a little card up about there somewhere, showing you to my Please Please Me collection video, because I've shown these before, so if you want to see a bit more in depth then you can check that out. This one is my lovely condition 4th/5th pressing in mono. Sounds great, it's super clean, almost excellent condition, I would say. Cover does have some wear, but for an EJ Day cover, it's one of the better ones I've seen. So you can see there. So this has got the black and yellow label with the recording first published text, which is what makes it a 4th pressing, although sometimes you can class it as a 5th. So I'll just put that back in there. This is my second copy I had. Now this was the other copy I got, again an EJ Day sleeve, but this was actually an earlier pressing. It still has the normal cover, hopefully you can see there. Oop, try and focus this in. As you can see, it's under the G, so that's what makes it a standard cover. But as you can see, this one, this is what most Please Please Me sleeves usually look like. Worn out, as you can see there. Worn out and still EJ Day. And this one is still on the black and yellow label, but it's an earlier pressing. Has its original inner as well. It's an earlier pressing because, if you can see there, it doesn't have the recording first published text, and there's no 33 1/3, because basically it went the first 2 black and gold labels, then you had this label which had a little 33 1/3 there left over, and then it was this pressing. So this is like the 4th pressing technically, but it's really just a label variation, so that's why some people can class it as either. And it's the same on side 2. And also there is a hybrid press where you get the 33 1/3 on one side, so you know there are variations just depending on what you collect and what you think counts as a pressing, but that's all part of the fun of it. So that's Please Please Me. Now on to With the Beatles. So With the Beatles I do have a lot of copies of, as some collectors will know. You just eventually build up so many, so I'll just start off again with my 2012 stereo reissue of it, which is again the first copy of this album I owned, because that's when I was really first starting out. And again they've recreated the covers and the label, they're very nice as well, good quality. I quite like them. Some people aren't too hot on them, but I think they sound very good. Oh, I was lucky enough a couple of months ago to pick up an original first stereo pressing. The cover is a bit worn, but the record's pretty good, so at least VG I'd say. As you can see, the cover's got some creasing, but again, with the Beatles usually they're all creased, but there's only a few there. There is a spine split, but overall it's very nice. And it does have the Gotta misprint, as most covers do. It's not a particularly rare misprint, and it is stereo with a little indicator box there. The Garrett and Loft House cover. Now this is on the black and yellow label. Yellow and black, sorry. And it's nice and clean in the sleeve, as you can see there. Now this does have the Joe Bet, whichever way you want to pronounce it, misprint for money. Hopefully you can see there, just about, for the song Money. That's the immediate indicator of the first pressing, so if you're ever at a shop, that's all you really need to look for. So just put this one away, and then we can get onto my mono copies, which I do have a lot of, but that's just because I found them for cheap. So first of all, we've got some mono first pressings, which I'll show you. So first off is this one here. Well, this is a first pressing with a corrected matrix, or corrected label, sorry. So it's got the one end matrices, but it's got the Dominion Belinda credit for money. So this is like the hybrid, sort of going from the first to the second presses. It still has the Gotta misprint on the cover though. So as you can see, that even though these are the sort of technically the earliest covers, it stays on there for quite a while. So hopefully you can see here. Again, looks very normal on side 1, but side 2, it's Dominion Belinda, but the actual matrices are one end. So I'll just get that out and show you quickly. Hopefully you'll be able to see. Try and focus that in. There we are. Hopefully you can see it's one end matrices, but it's got the Dominion Belinda credit, which is what marks it out as a hybrid pressing. So that's so cool to get this one. This was a Christmas gift as well, so it was kind of a nice surprise. And the other two mono, well, these next two mono ones are first presses. I'll just show them one by one. So we've got this one, and the first pressings will have a darker cover, so you'll see less of the faces. This is a mono first press with a Garrett and Lofthouse cover as well. Most of the With the Beatles covers were Garrett and Lofthouse. You can get EJ Day, but they're a bit scarcer. Again, still got the Gotta misprint, but these have the Joe Beat miscredit as well, which I'll just get out. Again, same label on side 1. And as you can see there, for credit money, Joe Bet or Joe B, whichever way you pronounce it. So that's what marked it out as a first press. This next one's pretty much an identical press, but just slightly different condition, of course. We've underlined their favourite songs. That's what I like sometimes about these covers, is a lot of people don't like this stuff, but I don't mind it because it gives it history. As you can see, quite a yellowed cover this, but still with a misprint and Garrett and Lofthouse. And as you can see, this is what usually happens, they tear, but overall it's not bad. And just get the record out, it's the exact same. There's side 1 and side 2, again with the miscredit. And this one, these are of course one end, so if you've got the Joe Beat, it will most likely be a one end. I've not seen any variations yet, but they will most likely have one end matrices. So that's my first presses. I've now got a mono second press, which is my other copy. And this is the first mono copy I owned, or well, one of the first ones. And as you can see there, this is what usually happens, is they crease and whatnot. And this one, actually, this is a good example, because this one has the corrected cover. And it will also show here, you can see that the cover is a little bit lighter. You can see John's eye there, whereas in the others you couldn't. So as you can see there, the misprint has been corrected for Gotte, and it's still Garrett and Lofthouse, but these were all done within the same pressing run, so that's why there's so many variations, as they changed it so much. I'll also just show you the label to help show the difference. So I'll spin this around. Side 1's pretty much identical as well. So you can see there, it's now Dominion Belinda for the song Money. Now there are of course many label variations, but I'm talking about second presses versus first. And this one does have the 7N matrices. So you get 1N, 3N, 4N and so on. They did do a 2N but decided not to use it, so that's why there's no 2Ns currently that I know of, but that's the second press. So those are all my With the Beatles. Now I only have one copy of Hard Day's Night, so I'll show you that one next. So now on to A Hard Day's Night, which was of course the Beatles' first album of '64. And these early mono copies of their albums are really not that hard to find, because of course they were pressed very highly in a lot of numbers, in high number I mean, because of course they were very quickly rising in popularity. But this is a first press variation A, as stated by my labelling there. And all first presses all have 3N, because this is like the only mono cutting they did, and it's just because it was such a good cutting. Again, this is the first press sleeve. Now again, you can get EJ Day sleeves, but this is a Garrett and Lofthouse, as they're much more common. Hopefully you can see that there. This one's pretty good as well, a bit yellowing here, but pretty good overall. And again, the catalogue number there for mono. Sorry about that. So we'll get it out, and this is a variation A label with the chubbier text, and these have like the rice paper in as you can see there, the font is a lot thicker on the PMC and the text there, and it's the same on side 2. I'll leave a link for some of these specific ones, and you can see the text layout here. So this is a variation A, so chubby text and this sort of layout, as you can see here. So that's, and 3N as well, and it's got its original in there. So this was a nice one. It's my own. I did have a reissue stereo, but I sold that once I got this one. So next we'll move on to Beatles for Sale, which was released later in '64. And it's, some people will say it's probably not their best album, but I actually like it. I think it's underrated. I mean, you could say that for some Beatles, many Beatles albums or something, but this one especially, I think there are good songs on it, but it just gets a bad rap. So again, this is the first pressing, but variation B. There is a very small variation. It's not, it's not massive, but as you can see here, so it is the laminated sleeve. Well, these sleeves are a bit awkward to get out, but as you can see here, it's the back. Looks pretty normal. So I'll get it out and just show you guys. These sleeves are, you have to be careful because they're very fragile. So if I just get it out. And again, it's got the flip backs there, which I'll show on my next copy. Just to show you this label. So there we are. There was only one mono pressing, well, for the 60s anyway. So these are really easy to find. Again, sold in UK text, of course. Oops, come out the side there. Have to fix it. Hopefully you can see the label. I'll show you on the next copy more clearly because it's not got a sleeve yet. So get that in there. See, this is why they're a bit fiddly, because it's hard to get them in and out. But I'll show you my next copy. This one I got just recently. It's the exact same, a mono first pressing. And this has not got its original inner, but it will be easier to show you. So of course it's got the flip back style design for an original cover. Now they were built like that until the 70s, so it's not a big deal if they've got, different records inside. But this is again a mono first press. There is a slight variation where that text moves, but it's so tiny it's like not really worth looking out for. But again, that's a bit clearer there because this has got a different sleeve. And this, you can get like 3N and 4N combinations with this album. So that first one was a 3N. Now this one's a 4N 3N. So you can get, different variations. That's a way to tell how early your copy is, because with this album, it's a bit hard to tell pressing, because like I said, there's not any big label changes, apart from maybe a later stereo pressing. Now I do have a stereo copy, but it's a 70s one on the 2-box EMI label. And it's a bit warped, but it's nice to have as just a variation in the collection. Again, this one still has the flip design. Now this could have been swapped, I guess, at some point, but as long as it's laminated, that just tells you it's an early one. So I'll show you the design. As you can see, it's on the 2-box EMI. So that's from 71 till about 73. And this one had its one, as you can see there, -1 cut for the stereo. The stereo mix is great on this one. Probably the best early stereo mix. Side 2. Hopefully you can see that. There we are. Hopefully that's clear enough. So that's my Beatles for Sale. So I'll put that out of the way. And next we'll move on to Help and Rubber Soul. Okay, so now on to Help, which I do have a fair few copies of, but, well, I say a fair few, but enough to make a big collection. So first of all, I've got my mono pressing. Now I've labelled it as a second press, but it can be a bit difficult to figure out which presses. You can still, it's definitely a 60s press, but some people have different ideas on what the first and second presses are. So this has got the Garden Loft House sleeve as well. I'll show you the label quickly. As you can see there, it's on the yellow and black with the Times New Roman font. These all have -2 matrices for the mono, because again there was only one cut. There we are. And again, of course, not the original inner, but if you can see that there. And again, I'll show you the cover. Mono, outline mono, and the flip backs. I've also got a 70s stereo pressing on the 2-box label. This sleeve's knackered, but it's got -2, -1 matrices, so the slightly later stereo cut, but not a massive difference. Just show you the label again quickly. Hopefully you can see. This one's again a bit more aged and worn, but hopefully you can see there, it's on the 2-box label. Plays really well as well, so it was a good pickup. I got it quite cheap as well. Now this is my stereo first press, which is absolutely trashed, but it's super cool on the back. It's got a really cool design, well I say design, little doodles and stuff like this, little drawing there someone's done, little names and addresses, and that's what I love about these covers and dates there. That's what I love, is they're just so inventive sometimes. So I pull out this record. This is on the yellow and black label. It is a first pressing, but it's unplayable really because it's so trashed. This has the asterisks there, so the first pressing version, as you can see there as well. Same label as KT tax code. That's my first pressing stereo. Now this is probably my best condition one. Is a late 1969 pressing, as it's on the 1-box EMI label. That happened sort of late 69, early 1970. This has got first pressing cuttings, so you're getting a good sound quality for a little bit less of the price. Again, nice clean back, a bit of damage there, but yeah, it's nothing compared to some of them. Garage and Lofthouse sleeve as well. I'll get it out and just show you quickly. So this is, as you can see, the 1-box. These sound great. And this is really clean as well. This is like EX condition, so it's not much noise at all. So if you can see there as well. I really recommend these because you get a lot for your money. So if you don't want to fork out the price for the yellow and black label originals, which aren't hard to find, but they do seem to be overpriced a fair bit. Now this one also is where you don't have an indicator there, but you will have the catalogue number and the little stereo box on the back. So that's help. And now I'll move on to Rubber Soul and Revolver, and that will be the end of part 1. So now on to Rubber Soul and Revolver, and I also forgot to mention I do have 2 copies of a collection of Beatles oldies, so I'll show them after, but starting off with my mono second press, or sort of second/third press of Rubber Soul. Now this one at first looks normal, but it does have an EJ Day sleeve, which, as you can see here, is slightly different flip back design. But these are slightly scarcer on mono, not impossible to find, but you will definitely see more Garrett and Lofthouse mono sleeves. And of course the date code there, December 65. This one's a bit more worn, but I'll just get out and show you anyway. If it's a bit of tight sleeve, this one. But again, the sleeve's a bit creased, but I'll show you the label design. This one has the -4 matrices, so that was sort of the first normal press after the loud cut. This one is very worn as well. As you can see there, Times New Roman font. It's on UK text and the gramophone. Hopefully I'll show you my other copy of the matrices because this is probably too marked. And side 2. Now you can get loud cuts which have this font, but most of the time you'll see -4 matrices with, hopefully you can see there, -4. It'll be clear on my other copy, but this was my first mono. It plays okay, probably only good plus if you were to grade it, but it's nice to have the EJ Day sleeve, which is one of the main reasons why I bought it. But I'll now show you my other copy, which I got just recently, along with that Beatles for sale, and I also got a white album as a lot of 3, so in the next part I'll be showing them. But this is in much better condition. I'm waiting on some plastic sleeves for these, so Much better condition, this one, as you can see. It's fairly glossy for a copy of Rubber Soul. A couple of creases there, but nothing to worry about really. Again, nice clean back for the most part. Some little mark there. Again, this is the Garrett and Lofthouse sleeve, which hopefully that will zoom in. There we are. As you can see, it's mono, so these are way more common. Not too sure about the stereos. This does have a 12 there, but no 65, so that's one of the differences. And that is linear litho. I learnt about that from Parlogram Auction, so be sure to check their channel. And one other small, very small difference between the EJ Day sleeves and the Garrett and Lofthouse, which hopefully if this zooms in I can show you. So you see that there's text there, trademark of the gramophone. On the EJ Day sleeve, that's not there. So this is the Garrett and Lofthouse, and then I'll show you the EJ Day sleeve, which I'll just get back here. Hopefully this will zoom in as well. Sorry about if it takes. There we are. Can you see there's no text there? So that's one of the differences, or one of the ways to tell from the front. And this is the exact same label as well on this copy, so it's pretty much the exact same pressing. But this one was a lot cleaner, so hopefully you'll be able to see if I can zoom that in. There we are. Again, -4 down there, and on side 2, KT tax code. This one plays a hell of a lot better, so this is my playing copy. If you can see there. -4 again. Really nice, this one. I was glad to get this one. So if I move that out of the way, we can move on to Revolver. So this is my, first of all, we'll start off with my mono second pressing. It's a slightly later second pressing mono, but it's still from 66. So as you can see, it's had a bit of yellowing there. But it's a nice, pretty good. Again, it's had some wear on the back. And this is a Garrett and Lofthouse sleeve. You can get EJ Day ones, but Garrett and Lofthouse are easily the more common. Thing is, with the first Please Release Me, EJ Day sleeves are more common. So, but for the after Please Please Me, Garrett and Lofthouse is easily the more common. Now this does have the Doctora, but sort of misprint, even though it's a second press, because it really varies. And it also does it on the label, so it can vary massively. So as you can see, the sleeves also had some damage, but it's not the end of the world. As you can see there, it's a later second press because it's Times New Roman and the Taxman and Eleanor Rigby are on the same line. But it's got -2, which makes it still an earlier press. Because it did go to like -3 as well, but you can see there. There are a lot of label variations for this one as well. Now, even though the disc does look quite worn, it plays really well. And I love the monomix, because you get a bit more in the monomix with the extra like guitar and cowbell and sort of thing. As you can see, someone loves this copy, because this is my favourite Beatles album as well. The White Album comes a close second, but this is my favourite. So I'll now show you my stereo copy, which I did show recently in a video, but for anyone who hasn't seen that one, it's the one with the nice, someone made their own cover for it. I picked this up really cheap for a stereo copy. I got it for £20, so I thought that was a great deal. And it was worth it for the cover alone. So nice homemade cover here. As you can see, the track listings. That it did come with its original, but it had split, so they gave me a new one to put in. But it is a first pressing, but with a Variation B label. So if I just spin this around, and it has had some damage, but the actual record plays great. So as you can see, it's on the side one, it looks like a first press. It's got -1 matrices there, so it's still got the original cuttings. This is side 2 is where you can tell. So you can see Dr. Robert is spelled correctly, so that's what makes it a Variation B. So it's right after the first presses, so, or the earliest label. So it's a first pressing just with a slightly later label, and again -1 on that side. I do love the stereo mix as well, but it's kind of a bit like the White Album. It's hard to decide. So I've listened to that mono version for so long, and I have listened to the stereo, but only on YouTube. So of course having the vinyl was really nice. And as I said, I got a great deal on this one. Only £20, and I did clean it after I cleaned it as well. It was amazing. KT tax code again, slightly hard to see, but gramophone sold in UK. So hopefully you can see that clearly. So now I'll be moving on to my copies of a collection of Beatles Oldies, which came before Sgt. Pepper, as it was like the stopgap album. So I'll show you my copies of that next. So lastly, we've got a collection of Beatles Oldies, which, as I said, came before Sgt. Pepper. This is my mono first pressing. Again, the cover is in great condition. So a lot of times it's all yellowed, and as you can see, it's nice and clean, this one, which I'll try and focus in the best I can. As you can see, there is some minor creasing and a bit of discoloration there, but for the most part it's lovely. And I've got a sleeve on it, but I'll just keep it in that to protect it. Mono as well. Again, this is the last album to have the EJ Day sleeves, but that mono usually is done here on the EJ Day ones. Yeah, and as I just said then, this was the last one to be made by both, but Garden Loft House again is probably the most common. I will show you the label. It's still on yellow and black. And you'll have 1G matrices for pretty much all the pressings, I think, as you can see there. Now there is a variation which is pretty rare, I think, is that some of these publishing dates are moved over here, but for the most part this is the label you'll see. So as you can see there, again I believe this has a KT tax code, but I could be wrong, so I'll just double check on it. But yeah, no, it does have KT on this side. So this is what a mono first pressing of collection of Beatles Oldies look like. So it's got sold in UK and the gramophone text. Now I only have one other copy, which is an 80s stereo pressing, but it's very clean, so it was a good buy. And the stereo mixes are sometimes for this album, some of the songs are mixed for stereo for the first time, so you will get the hard left and right, which I don't mind, but as you can, nice and clean this one. Hopefully you can see that there. Again, made by Garden Loft House. This is an 80s pressing though, so it will be on the 2-box EMI label. But I got this for £2, so it was an amazing buy. Hopefully you can see there. Oh, there we are. And then you can tell because it's got the all rights of the producer, rim text, that makes it an 80. Well, that marks it out as an 80s press. And for the stereo one, you can get different cutting. So this is a -3 on side 1 and a -5 on side 2. So, but for the monos, it's 1G most of the time. I haven't seen any other variations yet. And She Loves You as a fake stereo mix because the original master tape was lost. So that's side 1. This is side 2. Hopefully you can see. But again, it is a 2-box EMI. So that is part 1 of my Beatles vinyl collection. Stay tuned for part 2. There will be a bit of a gap with some videos in between as I'm filming the other part, but hopefully you enjoyed this one, and thanks you for watching.